Do you need a refill or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Nice. Awesome.
I have multiple beers.
Excellent.
I have one of those tacky vacation buckets, that they give you on the beach.
that's
fantastic.
For like $400.
Right.
But that's how you save, though. You get the bucket of beers instead of the
Right.
singles.
Instead of 1x1 where they charge you $20 a bottle for Bud Light.
Right.
And it stays cold.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Hello and welcome to Bacon is My Podcast. And before we get into anything, we would like to thank our sponsors, GrillYourAssOff.com, DrinkWildBills.com, and Poddex.com for helping us keep the lights on here. Use that promo code BACON
Because everything is better with bacon.
for 10% off your entire order at any of those sites, as well as check out our new sponsor, Manscaped, and get 20% in free shipping off any order with the promo code BACONPOD.
Yeah, and they have the premium collection out now.
They do. Keep those marbles shiny. We both use them. Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed.
Mine are shiny. Thank you so much. And also, anyone who's listening, anyone who listens, and all of our peeps over at patreon.com/baconismypodcast, BIMP Squad, thank you guys so much for keeping the lights on here in Fort Michael.
No, I don't like that one.
Fort Bacon?
Fort Bacon is acceptable.
Fort Bacon.
It's acceptable.
Here at Fort Bacon, thank you guys for keeping the lights on. How you doing today?
Hey, we're here, and
we are
that
here.
is good.
Yeah.
That is great. That is grand. That is terrific. That is wonderful. I love being here.
I do too.
I like this.
I do too. This is a good time.
We should do this more often.
We should probably do. We should
We
do
do it a
this.
lot.
We should
We
do
do
this.
a lot.
Yeah, we do this a lot.
We do it a lot.
We definitely do this a lot.
But today, we'll talk about today.
Yeah. So, for anyone out there that has ever listened to my band Craving Strange, a number of years ago, we put out a single, and that single had two songs on it. They were Angeline and Breathe. And I'm super proud of both of those songs. And both of those songs were a departure for us as far as the entire recording process. We got to record those songs at Converse Studios in Brooklyn. So we went there and recorded both of those songs. The Angeline video shows us in those studios. But those songs were mixed by Grammy Award winning mixer and producer Rob Jacobs. We traveled to LA. We spent some time at his house. We did a show. He pulled our gear out of the show for us so that we could work merch. Just super awesome guy that we got to know over the course of a week.
Just so you know, he worked with Jim. He pulled his merch out, but he's also dealt with
Right.
some pretty important people.
So let's move up from us because we are the bottom of the barrel.
There's the Eagles.
There is the Eagles. There's Shakira. There's Don Henley before the Eagles.
Right.
Before he worked with the Eagles.
Exactly.
He worked on Hell Freezes Over.
Yes.
But he also worked on End of the Innocents.
Yeah. Bruce Springsteen he's worked with.
Weezer. On the Blue record.
The Blue Album.
Blue Album, sorry.
But yeah, those guys. What's that guy? The other one from Jersey. Oh, Bon Jovi.
Right.
That's
that
right.
Guy, that guy
yeah. So he's dealt with those people, and now he's working for Universal Pictures.
Yeah, working on TV shows, movies.
Yeah, and it was a really cool time talking to him. He's still doing a little bit of music stuff now.
Yeah, working with the band Watson out of New York.
And we're going to try and get them.
Gonna get them on, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a really cool episode.
He also rescues pugs. So if you're into that, then we do talk about that as well.
We do talk about that. So that's definitely your episode.
Yeah. So you just check it out.
So,
he's fun.
Yeah. He's a lot of fun, and we're going to have him on again.
Yeah.
We're going to do stories with him.
Stories with Rob Jacobs.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I love that. And
It's his first podcast also.
yeah, that's right. We get to pop his podcast cherry.
Yeah, I forgot to ask him, but I was gonna ask him, like, what about this one made it happen? But literally, we had a conversation online, and he said, I've been asked to do a bunch of podcasts. I've never really done one, and I said, hey, well, check ours out, see if you like it. We'd love to have you on, and it'd be fun. And if you just want to like have a couple drinks and just talk shop or whatever. See if you like it. And he checked out our episodes, and he got back to me and was like, I definitely want to do your podcast. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So, yeah, it's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. Rob is an awesome dude. This is my first time meeting him.
Yeah, and you feel like you know him right away, right?
Yeah, right away.
It's crazy.
Like right away. It was great.
It's
it was
crazy.
Awesome.
You're like, oh my God, we're kindred spirits.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of mixing and stuff too, and not quite to the degree that he does it.
Right.
But I'd like to.
Yeah.
Maybe one
Time
day.
will tell.
Time will tell. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was really awesome, and it's good to start now.
Right now.
That was cut out.
I know, but I got a text from him, so it distracted me. Now. So we got a new sponsor.
Yeah, sweet balls, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm pretty sure you can guess by that conversation that our new sponsor is Manscaped.
Yes, Manscaped, a company that I'm very familiar with.
Me too.
Few years now. I've been using their products, and I tell you what, my marbles have never been shinier.
I actually got their lawnmower 3.0.
Yes.
Which it has skin safe technology, and they've just upgraded to the 4.0. And let me tell you, I love the 3.0, but the 4.0 is just so much better. It's got a light on it. Do I really need a light? Yes, you do.
Visual aids.
Yeah,
Visual aids
yeah,
are
absolutely
important
do.
sometimes.
For sure.
Sometimes in those crevices, that upper leg, inner crease.
Yes, agreed.
It's a tough spot. So the Perfect Package 4.0 contains the Lawnmower 4.0.
Yes.
But one of the things that I am a big fan of is the Crop Reviver. As
yes.
they call it. It is they call it the Ball Spray Toner.
Yes. So it's
those marbles.
What else is in the Perfect package as well is the ball deodorant.
Yes,
it's the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing. So when you walk a lot, I don't know about you, but sometimes I get the chafing. I should probably lose weight, but instead I use this.
I'm just a fan. I've always been a fan. I was super excited when you told me that we got the email from them saying that we could now offer a discount to our listeners.
Yes.
I thought that was super cool. So
and men and women can use it too.
Absolutely. It's not just a man thing.
So if you want, you can get 20% off.
Yeah,
your order now.
A big deal.
That's a big deal.
Pretty awesome.
Use the promo code BaconPod. You get 20% off at manscaped.com. So go ahead to manscaped.com. Save yourself 20%.
Yeah.
Use the promo code
BaconPod.
And make your marbles clean.
20%
and
off.
Shiny.
Check it out, manscaped.com. Highly recommended and used by your boys here at Bacon Is My Podcast. Like I said, keep those marbles shiny.
Whoop, whoop.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is Cade Katz. You've been listening to Bacon Is My Podcast. What's your bacon? These guys are amazing, so thanks for having me. And keep spinning these guys and give them a follow.
Welcome to Bacon Is My Podcast. See that weird? That's weird.
I like it.
It's just weird.
It was a little weird.
It's so weird.
I'll be honest. That is weird.
So, no, see, like now it's forced.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucked it up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bacon Is My Podcast. Today, we have an engineer, a producer, a mixer,
a musician, a fosterer of pugs.
Yes, the Pog Father,
a man
the
of
Pug Father,
the Pug Father. I like it. A man of many hats and a man of many stories. Mr. Rob Jacobs, how you doing, brother?
Excellent, boys. Good to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. And from what we understand, this is the very first podcast you have ever done, which I am extremely honored to be able to say that. That's awesome. Thank you for the honor, sir.
Well, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
So for those of you who don't know, Rob has worked with iconic artists such as Jimmy.
Right, just
and a few up and comers,
and
the Eagles,
U2, the Eagles,
U2.
Shakira, Bon Jovi, Springsteen, Alanis, Weezer,
yeah,
it's a bunch of people. Now spends his time doing things for Universal Pictures, mixing for is it TV and the movies and
Yeah, we do
everything?
TV and film. We pretty much work for every company out there now. The
Right.
studios. We do all the Atmos mixing and all kinds of other stuff. So all the foreign. So yeah, we do just about everything you can imagine.
That sounds like a lot, and that's amazing. What like so you came up obviously with a love of music, a love of working with music. What made that transition happen for you? Like, what was it that made you go, I'm going to jump into, like, are you just a huge movie guy as well and wanted to find more facets of the business or necessity?
It's funny. I think there was a point in my life where just making records just became so difficult. It's funny. You work on some records for a year, 2 years at a time, and next thing you know, the label doesn't want to put them out, or there's some red tape, or I think being in a band, you know how hard it is to break. I mean, it's funny.
Right.
In the early days, you made a record and you always heard the first single on the radio. You always heard the second single. They did a video, and then it became, okay, I'm working at someone's house for, a little bit less money, which is fine. Had fun making records, but it just became pretty grueling. And it's funny that, as I said, I did some work with Shakira, and that was almost 2.5 years of being on the road. It started out as I literally came home to get, when my daughter was a baby, to get some lactose pills for her because she was lactose intolerant, and the phone rang, and the guy's like, "Hey, this is so-and-so from Shakira. Can you fly out tonight?" And I actually thought it was a joke. I thought it was my friend Benny playing a joke on me, and I hung up on him. And the phone rings again, and I'm like, I got to get back to the party, whatever. And he's like, don't hang up. This is so-and-so from Shakira, Dan. And I'm like, he's like, can you fly out tonight? And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So it was supposed to be a weekend, and I flew to Canada, and I mean, it was literally 2.5 years later that I finished that record. And after that, I was ready to definitely make a change in my life. And at that point, too, I do think that the industry had changed so much where people weren't really using big studios, and it was hard to get record deals and, all of the above. But, it's funny. The grass is always green. I mean, I still make records, which is definitely my passion. It has, to me, it's more creative. You can really paint your picture any way you want. But that was, I think, being away for 2.5 years on a grueling project. I mean, that was a hard record. We worked 7 days a week, 18, 20-hour days every day.
Wow.
And when I got back to California, I had actually, like I said, run into a guy from Universal. He's like, come work for me. He knew my career. Actually, he was one of the guys on the U2 Rattle and Hum record. And he said, come work for me. And I said, absolutely. And I ran as fast as I could. I remember that day when they actually hired me at Universal. I literally had tears in my eyes. I think, all my manager's clients, and he's some pretty big people. Everyone was kind of fighting for work. And it just seemed like a very timely and good change. And it's funny. I actually do a ton of work. I feel like, my bread and butter comes from Universal, and it's like, Jimmy, I help you guys, and I do all kinds of stuff like that now. So yeah, I get to fulfill that end of my career in a different way where the pressure isn't on,
That's awesome. Do you find that, like, so making music has changed, and that's been happening for
there's a huge shift.
It's been happening for a long time, but it still feels like a seismic shift kind of just like happened overnight too. It's like those two things. Like, so I mean, you still take on I would say passion projects, or just, like you said, music is your passion. You're working currently with a band called Watson. And and then, we were lucky enough to have you work with us on a couple of songs too, Breathe and Angeline, for anybody that's listening that wants to check them out. So what is it that kind of, like, if you are looking for something, what catches your ear from a band? Like, what caught your ear for Watson? What makes you, since it is taking up your extra side time, what is it that kind of hits you that makes you go, oh, I want to work with that?
It's funny. So I do play a ton of tennis. I play tennis like 5 days a week. And during COVID, there's this private court that one of the pros had access to. I mean, beautiful court, speakers all over the top of the court, and they were playing some music. And a couple of us were like, wow, this is really good. What is this? And the dad, one of the older guys says, oh, those are my kids from New York. It's Christina and Damon. And I was like, wow, what's up with them? And he starts to tell me more. And, of course, it's like everybody kind of wants to see what you do before they get involved with you. They check your resume and then it's like,
Right, right.
wait a minute, But he was really nice about it. And I think he was being a little protective, wanted to make sure it was the right fit. So I said, look, I'm here to help. If you want me to listen to some tracks, I'm happy to do that. If you want me to, mix some stuff for them, I could do that. So next thing I know, they're in Los Angeles.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
As you do. Yeah.
And it's funny, I met with them and they sang acoustically for me and we talked about what kind of record they wanted to make. And, again, my bread and butter is at Universal. So I had a limited amount of time, even though this probably was an 8-month project. We're actually still doing a couple new tracks and still kind of finessing some of the older stuff. But, I just felt like, it'd be a fun project to do. I definitely bit off. It's funny. We started out like, we'll do a couple tracks, weeks later, it was already like 6 tracks, 7 tracks.
Right.
We went to a really beautiful studio. I had some friends, Greg Bissonette and Stan Lynch from Tom Petty play drums on a few tracks.
Wow.
So it was really fun. I mean, I pulled out as many favors as I could on this, whether it was studio time or producers, co-producers, guitar players, equipment. And it just, I'm really proud of this record. It's been a long time since I've really dug that deep. Normally it's like, someone will send me a mix and, so on and so forth. And I'll get involved in 1 or 2 songs. And then, it's pretty much that it's one and done. But I've kind of evolved with these guys into like managing the band with the dad, and really trying to guide them on a career path that, I feel like I have a lot of knowledge that a lot of the, I'm going to sound old, but a lot of these young kids just don't have,
No, it's true.
and it's an organic band too, it's funny. I really do think that there's some good organic rock bands kind of coming back. Last night they played a show. There were 2 other bands with them. The place was packed. It was so fun to see like a band throw down.
Yeah.
The Watson band is just so good. The drummer is just phenomenal, and just everybody brings something to this band that's made it really special and kind of exciting for me to kind of be a part of and keep working on.
Yeah, so you've done like a ton of different facets of the record making process. Is being producer like your number one, or is it nice to sometimes just kind of like sit back and go, okay, I'll move around some dials and stuff and kind of hone the sound in the way that I think that this should sound, kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's funny. I've got a friend of mine, Mark Dutton, also known as Muddy, who I've been working with for 30 years. We went back to the band Brian Jonestown Massacre. We had done a record, which was a crazy, insane record, really cool sounding record.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that record. That's awesome. I didn't know you
Muddy. Yeah, Muddy and I, that was something else. That was like herding cats. That record. Yeah, that was an interesting one, to say the least. But what was the question? Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of was sidetracking there.
All right, we sidetrack all the time.
But it is like being the producer.
Oh, okay, so part of mine, because I do have limited time. Muddy and I have both kind of relied on each other to kind of divide and conquer. We did rehearsals with the band. We tracked with the band. Then I let Muddy kind of take him to his house, and he did most of the overdubs and really produced the vocals and worked on guitar sounds. He'd send me stuff to listen to every day, and I'd report back, yes, no, hate it, love it, hate it, like that, but better. Right. The fun producer stuff or executive producer stuff. And like I say, over the course of like 8 months, we were able to really hone in on a sound for these guys and find what works and didn't work. And, And I was happy to delegate out, even aside from Muddy. You know, it's funny. I mean, I'm sure Jimmy, you know, when you're making a, there's always like it's like a number two at Cheese. There's like one song that like everybody thinks is either out of tune or nobody can tune their guitars to, or something weird about it, or the time's weird, or this one song's like a little too slow. There's always one or two songs on a record that are just a nightmare. You keep putting them up, you keep beating them up, and pulling stuff out and bringing stuff in, and so we had a couple of those, and those ones, you know, Muddy and I, we didn't throw in the towel, but I have a friend, Louis. He's from London. He's got a really great band, and he does like lo-fi stuff. We kind of threw a song his way and said, "Have your way at it. You know, give us some loops, throw some guitar ideas down." And he came from a really, really different space, and he just knocked it out of the park. And we were able to bring back in some of the organic stuff that we like, the real drums, Greg Bissonette playing drums, and all kinds of other stuff. And it was great. So yeah, so I mean, for me, mixing is definitely the ultimate. I mean, I just have so much fun mixing. There's so many ways you can mix a song, and you know, these songs really came a long way from, you know, the production to the mix. So that's definitely more my thing. But, you know, it's funny. I always do have a vision, and luckily Muddy and I can communicate well, you know.
That's huge.
And I can convey what, yeah. I mean, you've seen like producers that put down like 8 billion tracks, and we'll sort it out when you mix it, and you're like, oh my God, there's 300 guitar tracks here. It's like, really? You know, and then each guitar track, no one could decide on a microphone. So it's like, there's like three microphones. It's just like, okay, come on, let's get a sound.
So if you are mixing, do you prefer, like, I know some producers and engineers, especially, that prefer to have, like if you have 300 guitar tracks to choose from, do you prefer to have everything at your fingertips so that you can make this perfect thing that you're thinking about? Or do you prefer to have less options so that you can kind of accentuate the positives, hide the negatives, and make whatever it is out of less options?
You know, it's funny. I definitely like the kind of meat and potatoes approach. Like, you know, things are compartmentalized a little bit. I don't mind a lot of guitar tracks, but what I don't like is when somebody has got one guitar track with like 4 microphones. It's like, you guys, but you guys couldn't decide a sound. I mean, it's like, come on. It's like, you know, and it's funny. And I'm used to, you know, it's funny, like, you know, Stan, as being a drummer, he was also a great guitar player. So when we made records with some of the, you know, the young bands we worked with, he'd bring his arsenal of like 20 guitar amps and 20 guitars, and, you know, you plug into the box, you plug into the amp play, you got the Fender Deluxe. It's just like you're going through and you're really finding the right sound for the song. And I'm definitely like, I like to go for even if it's with weird effects. I mean, I like to print stuff. I like to have it there, so when I put up the faders, that was the intention. And obviously things change, you know, by the time you put all the other stuff in, it's you know, it can be a different ball game, you know. Sonically, you're gonna have to fit something in that maybe, you know, when you did that overdub, it's not gonna work. But yeah, no, I definitely like less decisions. But it's funny, most of the records I work on are between 2 and 5 year records. I mean, all the Henley stuff, I mean, those records last for 3, 4, 5 years. Even Shakira's record, 2 years, you know.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, there can be a lot of options, but, you know, it's funny when you get down to the mix, you really get the meat and potatoes, and you know, put the vocal in, you start sweetening, you kind of see what works and what doesn't work, and you kind of commit.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, so you know we just played the fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw our new sponsor next to us at the fair.
Right.
Right? Any of you that have ever been to festivals, you know one of the coolest spots to go to is that spot that's selling you sodas where the copper mugs.
Oh, they're the best.
Wild Bill's, dude.
Yes. And you don't just have to go to a fair to get their stuff anymore. You can go to drinkwildbills.com. and they'll send it right to your house.
They sent that ginormous box to us.
Huge box of stuff, and it made me realize that Wild Bill's isn't just soda.
Yeah, I thought it was at first, but man, the like jerky and
nuts and coffee.
Oh man, snack foods, coffee, everything.
And if you go there now, drinkwildbills.com, use the promo code BACON, of course, and you get 10% off.
Oh, dude, check it out. Stick with us because we're going to be letting you know how that coffee tastes. We're going to be doing some tasting episodes on literally everything in the box.
Yes.
So stick with us. But, dude, you've had it. You've been at fairs. I've bought it. I bought that mug. It's awesome. I love it.
And now, again, we're heading into the winter months. It's going to get a little colder. No more fairs. Just have it delivered right to your door.
DrinkWildBills.com.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say.
Blah, blah, blah.
Once. Check it out. Promo code BACON.
Oh, we're gone. Is it just us?
Just us.
Hi, I'm Fleur,
Hi, I'm Luke.
and we're from the My Top 5 podcast.
That was nice.
And you
That was
are
nice.
consuming.
You
What's
are
your
consuming
bacon?
bacon is my podcast. You're consuming it. It's bacon, and you're consuming it.
I definitely I feel that with songwriting too. I definitely it's kind of like I would liken it to like a painter, right? And it's like, okay, I can give you 5 colors and you can mix them and match them and make things out of those 5 colors, or I can give you a palette of 200 colors and you can spend 2 hours trying to pick your favorite red. And it's
Right.
So with writing songs, I found that too, where I did a challenge once with a friend where it was like, okay, we're going to write songs, take 2 strings off your guitar. And you're only allowed to use 4 of them. And it doesn't, whichever 2 you take off is up to the other guy. We had to write a song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Based on where okay, so I don't have my low strings right now. How do I write?
No low strings. That's my nightmare.
Yeah. So giving yourself some kind of deficiency. But I saw a documentary on an artist that was talking about something similar where they got into a rut. And so they decided to take away their options and go, okay, I can make art, but I can only use cups that I get from Starbucks for free. And that's it.
Right.
I can use that, and I can use a black Sharpie. So I can just do different gradients and shades of black and white with the Starbucks cups. And that's all I have to make art. And I'm going to make, and that's going to be for one thing. And then I'll move on and give myself some kind of deficiency with another thing. So I love the challenge of working with less. I think that's very cool because I'm one of those people that get option paralysis, like.
Well, it's funny. So a lot of the records that I make, since they do last a long time, some of the bigger artists pretty much write in the studio, or not many people have the option to write in the studio. So I think then it becomes pretty intense. Like, they're not only looking for like chord structure, they're looking for something to make them excited, not just an E chord. It has to be an E chord going through a Leslie, going through this, going through that. And that part of songwriting in the studio is tough. I mean, with Henley, it was pretty brutal because Stan and I and whoever was around, Don would come in with an idea, and you'd make your drum loops, and Stan would play guitar and play drums, and I'd create loops, and you get into this mode where Don would come in like 4 days later and be like, I hate it all, but wait a minute, there's like, the bridge has got 2 chords in it I like. And you're like, oh, God, here we go. So, things get deconstructed. Then we spend another 4 days and, try and make it exciting for Don to at least get a guide vocal to and develop a song, And so, yeah, I mean, that part of it is fun, but it's also very tedious. And you do wind up with a lot of options for that. But, it's nice going with a band like the Wassikas. They had songs. And obviously they ended up taking a different direction once we started deconstructing them, and everyone was kind of open to the changes, and when everyone kind of gave themselves some space. I mean, it was a bit of a battle on some tunes, as like I say, some band members like one thing and other guys like another thing. You got to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Well, so something that, and you brought this up about the deconstructing and stuff like that. So what a lot of our listeners probably don't know is like the way that records and songs happen are just way different than how they happen on a local level. So you're talking about Don Henley coming in, you guys doing some loops, playing some guitars, putting some chords together, him coming in going, I don't like it, but I like this part. And then you going back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
this is how a record is actually made. It's not,
Right.
you know, nowadays it is a little different, you know, with a lot of DIYers, including myself. But like, it's a little more accessible now. But the way that real records are made are, you're going in, and if there's 4 members of a band, there's another 3 members behind a mixing board.
Yeah.
Ripping things apart, putting things like
your engineers are band members.
The way a song is written to begin with, and the way you hear it first live, is almost 9 out of 10 times not the way it's gonna be done by the end of that recording session and stuff. And it's a different world. It's a completely different world than what most of our listeners know about.
Yeah, are used to or think.
Yeah, it's funny because especially for the Watson, brother and sister. I mean, they kind of grew up doing a lot of acoustic stuff. I mean, they definitely did some rock stuff, but it's like, when they came to us, it was, pretty much acoustic guitar vocal, and I don't think anybody wants to hear any more of that. I mean, we need to put a band together and put a sound together for you guys, and
right.
I think the beginning was a big battle. It was really hard, and then we kind of locked into baby steps, start changing stuff, and then they became more open to the idea of like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, the writing process is tough. It's hard. I think it's funny. One of my suggestions to people is just write with everybody. I mean, I've got a friend, Austin. He's kind of like in a Tool type band. The songs are like 8 minutes long. It's like
Right.
They're crazy time changing. He's awesome, but I'm like, go write a pop song with somebody too. And then I tell like other guys to go write with him and see what he does. It's like, get out there and explore the studio space.
Yeah, I think, and I've heard this from a couple other people and had this conversation a couple of times. I think when you're talking about like rock and roll, you're looking at a genre that is kind of hanging back and not incorporating new things as much as it should. And I think one of the main things, like people say rock and roll is dead and all this kind of stuff, and I disagree with that entirely. I think it's gone underground a little bit, which is kind of where I think it belongs.
Right.
I think rock and roll should be something that's a little bit counterculture and a little bit, it should make people be like, ew. Like I think that's that's my favorite kind of rock and roll. But I think that like if you look at pop music and you look at hip hop and you look at R&B, you see a lot of different artists from different genres working together and writing together and being on each other's tracks and kind of collaborating. And I think you don't see that as much in the rock world for whatever reason. I don't even know what that is. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's like you're in a band situation, so you don't want to reach out of your band, or if people just don't kind of think about it. But I think that's one of the things that kind of helps move it forward is, like you said, write with as many people as you can. So that
try different things.
So you can get different aspects and different ideas into what you're
perspectives.
Doing.
Absolutely.
So, hot take: you've worked with the Eagles. Do you have a favorite Eagle? And I don't want to say that in a way to disparage anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny.
We're a positive podcast, not a negative one. So I'm not looking.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I've had so many experiences. I always try and focus on either the funny ones or the positive ones. I mean, even the negative ones ended up being like positive experiences. You certainly learn what not to do in a studio. But it's funny. Don has been great. I mean, God, I've worked for him since I think I started like assistant engineering for him during a pre-End of the Innocence. Made it through that whole record. And then it's funny, like just one night, there's a lot of partying going on, and it was super late at night and everyone was kind of out cold, and Don looked at me, he's like, "You ready to engineer for me?" And I'm like, "Let's do this." Nice. And that was kind of the start, at like probably 3 a.m. with a bunch of crazy musicians. And that was, I'm very appreciative and grateful for the chance. I mean, I got my ass kicked and I got beaten senseless over the next probably 25 years, but it was all worth it, It's brutal, man. Oh man, we had some crazy long nights, and like I say, when you work on a record for 3, 4, 5 years, man, it's like Groundhog Day. You're like, where's the end of this gonna be?
I'm sure.
And it's funny. And back in those days, it's funny. Like now, it's like Pro Tools, and it's like, it's less intense when you're punching. I just remember sitting at a tape machine. Funny story. We were in Texas because Don wanted to be near his family, so we rented a remote truck, and he didn't like this control room, so we used just the studio part. We had a Laymobile, I think it was, in the parking lot, which was like 120 degrees, and I just remember punching and punching and punching this one line, and Stan and Charlie tied my shoes to the remote, and I went to get up and stretch, and I fell flat on my face, and I erased part of Don's vocal. Oh. And I just remember him coming and going, "Okay, what the hell's going on in here?" And we got an earful, but it was, looking back, it was hilarious, man. It was hilarious.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, it's a lot of good stories. But Don, always loyal to me, and I was grateful for the work and getting to work with everybody from the Picaros to Lukather and Greg Bissonette and Vinny Caliuta and Randy Jackson and Kenny Aronoff. I mean, they're just you're just on the other side of the glass with your mouth open, going, right "Holy crap!" Yeah, it's been it's fun, and it's fun. It's funny. Unfortunately, you don't see a lot of that anymore. Most of those ringer guys, have their own rooms they go to. You send them a drive, you go over there for a few hours, and you're done. But those were fun days where Don would have, or whoever it was, you'd have a studio with the best musicians on the planet, and you're just like, wow, you just watch things evolve, and like I say, your mouth is open, just going, wow.
Yeah, it's funny. People don't realize how many of the people that you just mentioned played on their favorite records or their iconic records growing up that they think of when they think of a band, and they think of a certain lineup of the band, but they don't realize that Kenny Aronoff was on everything. Like in every style, in every genre, and he's done he's done everything. Bissonette as well, like all those guys that really kind of made up like part of the sound of your history, and you don't even realize it because you think of a band and you think of the band as, okay, well, the band is these people, and it's like, yeah, well, in the studio it was this guy.
so yeah, I was going to say, even like Bon Jovi, we had Kenny Aronoff, Jeff Beck, Randy Jackson, Little Richard, Elton John. I mean, it was just like, come on.
Well, something like that really reminds me of $1 Million Quartet, and the musical itself. I don't know how accurate it is and stuff like that, but like the story behind $1 Million Quartet, you got Elvis. You got Johnny Cash, you got Carl Perkins, you got Jerry Lee Lewis, June Carter pops in the play and stuff like that. But all these people, they work together. They all work together, and it's all for the song.
Right.
It's all for the best song.
The
possible.
Song is the God we all serve.
And so if Elvis Presley isn't the guy for the song, and he's like, Carl Perkins is the guy, and most of the people I'm saying Carl Perkins, nobody knows who the fuck he is, but that's what music is. It's give and take. It's serving, like you said, serving the master that is the song. So you do have Bon Jovi and Little Richard in a room.
It's funny. Even at A&M, it's like, I remember I was doing a demo. I can't remember who it was, and Daniel Lanois was across the hall, and he heard something. And he's like, "Let me come in and help you for a little bit." And I'm like, "Holy shit, yeah."
Yes,
please. But there'd be people walking down the hall. I remember, I think it was on a Patti Smythe record. I think Steven Tyler was outside the door, and he wanted to come and sing, or was Sheryl Crow was in another room. It was just like, it was pretty crazy times then, and everybody kind of mingled back in those days at A&M, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Do you think that still goes on to some extent, or do you think that that's kind of been lost because of the way music is made now? And is that hurting music? Are we not getting like even the great songs, are we not getting as great of a version as we could because everything's kind of compartmentalized now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's so much good music out there, but I do miss like being in a studio where there's 5 rooms of people tracking of the greatest of greats to the newcomers, and I always thought like I say, walking down the hallway, you'd see somebody like listening to you through your room through the door, and hey, can I come in check it out? It was always like it's pretty fun. I mean, there's obviously not a lot of that going around, but again, it's everyone can make a record at home now, and it's affordable, and I do see people getting creative, so it's a little both.
And there's definitely great records coming out. Yeah,
Sure,
I don't want to say that at all. Do you remember like the first time that you like had that like, holy shit, I can't believe this is my life moment?
Yes, I remember. This was terrifying. I think it was Thanksgiving. I was working in West LA at a studio, and Andy Taylor from Duran Duran was making a solo record.
Oh.
I think it was with Michael DeBarge.
It's another monster.
And honestly, at this time, I could barely get like signal to the tape machine, and it was on this like Neve 8128 console, which had like a matrix, and it was just like, I think everybody was like too messed up to come in and work that night, and they wanted to make some demos, and it was really late, and the studio manager says, hey, can you go work with Andy tonight? And I'm like, I can barely get signal to the tape machine. Like the only thing I'm going to make happen is feedback, because I feedback. I mean, I remember my friend Jonathan back in those days. He kind of came in and helped me, sort out the console and get the microphones to go to the tape machine and do all this stuff. But I do remember, like at that point, I'm like, wow, I'm working with one of the guys from Duran Duran. I mean, he's a great guitar player, and that was a pretty fun session. I think Tony Thompson was playing drums and some stuff. But yeah, I think at that point I was like, wow. What have I done? What have I gotten myself into?
This is my life now.
Yeah, but also, it's funny. I think once I would say when I made the change from there to A&M Studios, where Jimmy Iovine was kind of running it, and this guy Shelley, I think that was like the point where I was like, man, I mean, every room had the greats in it, from Van Halen to Aerosmith to you name it, they were there.
Right.
And I was like, God, what am I doing here? What the hell's going on? But it was hard work. I mean, back in those days, you had all the outboard gear to notate. And that was one of the other things that helped me kind of learn equipment was, now it's like, turn on Pro Tools and everything comes back. Some of the consoles are total recall, but back then you took pictures, Polaroid pictures of the console, and wrote down, little pencil marks where the volume was and all the parameters. It was brutal, but it was a good way to learn.
That's guitar players with our amps.
Yeah.
We do the same thing.
Right.
Well, little colored
and it
tape
never
on
comes
where
back
we want
the same.
everything, and it doesn't. Yeah, Tube Gremlins. It's never the same.
In college, I worked at a studio, and same thing. Like, just to touch and feel like the compressors and stuff like that, and then it's just like, wait, hold on. So we're just messing around, like you're teaching us how to track, but then somebody important's going to come in who's giving you money, and you're just going to go blah, 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 blah. And then tomorrow we're coming back, and you're just going to like change this. This is awful. This is not a good way to. It seems like an awful workflow, but that's what you did. The Polaroids and all that stuff. That's unbelievable.
I still take phone photos of settings on things for myself because I.
Commercial break.
All right, Jim Z. You think grilling season is over?
Almost, right?
No. Grilling season is never over because of a new sponsor of ours.
Ooh, what is it?
GrillYourAssOff.com.
I love the name already.
Yeah. It's a veteran-owned company that sells spices, barbecue sauces, cool swag, even cookbooks.
Oh, you know what? You sent me a link to that. I checked it out. That was awesome. They had some cool recipes right on their site. That was pretty awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's for free. But now that they're a sponsor, they've decided that if you use the promo code BACON, you get 10% off your order.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm ready. I'm definitely ordering some spices. They had a couple that looked really killer.
Yeah, and it's really, there's so many different selections that there's really a spice for everybody. The guys that are like heat heads, and even the people that just want something subtle, delicious, sweet, whatever it is, they've got something for everybody.
Awesome. Did we order any? Did we have any coming?
We've got some coming.
Nice.
And we're going to do some tasting episodes over on the Patreon.
Awesome. So
with
stick
a little
around.
bit of grill your ass off stuff.
Stick around, everyone, because once we get those in, we're going to taste them, we're going to go through them, and then we're going to let you know what we think and maybe give you some choices that we would kind of go for.
So once again, head over to grillyourassoff.com, use that promo code BACON, and get 10% off.
Sweet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? WWE Hall of Famer, The Godfather here, and you've been consuming Bacon Is My Podcast.
I have a digital workspace with an analog brain.
Yeah, that's a good way to.
It just happens for me. That's the only way I can do it.
Yeah. So something that you've done is now you're working in with Universal Pictures. So you're doing like television and movies, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about ambient sounds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How was the transition from like, okay, well,
wow,
I've got music and you know, you're everything is a song, and now everything is the scene itself. How do you float in like different ambient things and whatnot?
Well, it's funny. I mean, luckily, I'm a little bit like post production. I mean, we do foreign mixes. We do all kinds of stuff, but I kind of expected to walk right in and be a master at it. And then you see these like mixers on big feature stages where there's two mixers now, dialogue and music guy and an effects guy. I mean, you're looking at thousands of tracks of effects,
Wow.
thousands
Yeah.
of, 100 tracks of music and ADR and, production and PF. I mean, there's just so much stuff to wrap your head around. It's a different ball game. Like I said, I kind of figured I'd walk into it and it'd be easy, but it's definitely not. It's funny. I just remember the first time, you got to remember to look up at the screen. Yeah, I looked up once and it was like probably 3 minutes out of sync on something. It's like, oh, the mouths are not moving in the right spot.
This is like a kung fu movie.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
80s.
Exactly.
So
it was a tough transition for sure.
What goes into like the ambient sounds? Like I've seen, even for me, like my exposure to it is like watching Zoom field recorder demos where they're
demos.
like
Yeah.
holding something up against the stream, and then it's like,
Right.
okay.
Oh yeah,
where do
what's
go from
funny?
there?
I mean,
Like,
luckily I'm a little bit further down the road from that, but there's,
Right.
the editors are so good. I mean, it's funny, even, when you walk into a room, every time you see a movie or a TV show, it's like, it's probably 10 tracks of backgrounds. There's the air, there's the light buzz, there's somebody opens a refrigerator, somebody opens a window, you got to bring that in. It's like,
Right.
there's so many things to think about. Angle cuts, okay, suddenly he's not, not in your face, he's across the room. And it's like, it's like a Rubik's Cube, man. It's a lot to wrap your head around. But it's funny. It's like music. A lot of the one guy. He's a huge TV mixer, really great guy, and he's so good. But I've helped him like mix some records, and the concept of me doing what I do is really difficult to him. And I look at what he does, and I'm like, what are you doing? So, but yeah, obviously I'm more comfortable with music, even to this day. It's to me, again, it's more creative. I never got to that point in what I'm doing now where, I'm that deep into it where I'm at the creative stage. I mean, I do good work and it's fun, but like I said, I'm a little further down the road than the creative stage. So that's, again, what kind of keeps me in the music world. It's been a lot of fun to kind of still be able to be creative and come up with ideas and, work with fresh artists and kind of keep that ball rolling.
Awesome.
do you ever take things like you brought up the distance thing? Okay, well, somebody's right up in your face, and then, a minute later they're across the room and stuff. Do you use any of those mixing techniques back in the music realm?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny, back in the 80s, late 80s, all the 80s rock records with the gang vocals on the choruses.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
everybody
right.
back 30 feet. Okay, just, everybody on the mic, everybody scream, 20 feet away, whisper, that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I did do something with Tony Biscotti that he was explaining to us that he had set up like, I think he did it on a Bowie record where he'd set up a bunch of microphones in a row and he had them triggered with a gate, with depending on what kind of volume, he was singing. And, he used, varying distances of microphones for his vocals on some stuff. Thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, it's always fun like moving people around a room for sure.
I heard David Bowie used to do that.
Yeah.
Where he used to do like he had a couple mics in the room set up so that he could be right up on one, and then there was another one 10 feet away, and then there was another one like 30 feet away. Which I always thought was like a really interesting kind of idea to use.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can digitally replicate that exact. I imagine you probably can't. You can probably get pretty close.
Yeah, there's so much stuff you can't. I mean, it's funny, even just like, backwards guitars and backwards. It's funny in the Watson thing. I did a bunch of backwards reverb stuff, and it's a total pain in the ass in the digital world. It's just like, wait a minute, is it the beginning or the end? I don't know. That's you're like.
Although I will say, backwards guitars, we and it really messed with our guitar player for one of his solos on one of our records. He couldn't figure out how he wanted to end the solo, so we took the beginning of the solo and we flipped it in reverse and then put it at the end. And then we're like, there's your ending. And then he had to learn how to play it. So he had to learn how to play it backwards. And so he had to start like mid bend and bring it down and like try all these different things, which was cool because it wouldn't, by digitally being able to flip things and do things, it's like you can do things that your brain wouldn't have thought of. And then you have to figure out how to play it. So then now you're learning a new skill too, which is kind of cool. So I think that I thought that was kind of fun, but
there were a lot of things.
It drove him
phasing. Tape phasing was always fun to do real with the a couple of 2 tracks, and it just doesn't sound as good as it did or as some of the plugins do. But that's probably just an old guy.
you have mentioned a couple times about like late nights and party nights and all the hard partying and everything that you did. I actually have a story that I would like you to expand on that I've heard that has to do with you. And I heard about a time that you were in the studio with Richie Zito and the band Valentine. And you guys were such hard partiers that you sent out runners to get every flavor of Haagen-Dazs.
That sounds like us. I mean, I think at one point, we sent somebody to get a lava lamp on Melrose, one of those giant, like 20 gallon to put goldfish in. That's how like insane we were. It's funny, remember back in those days, you had like per diems, you had, it was just so different. I mean, there was a lot of fun being. You kind of felt like you needed to treat yourself every once in a while because you were working 20-hour days. Like, just use our lunch money, go buy a freaking lava lamp, and go send the guy to get some goldfish.
Do you remember something that stands out to you as like one of the weirdest requests from someone you worked with, or maybe one of the weirdest requests that you made? Because at some point where you were just like, let me just see if this works.
It's funny. I think some people were really bizarre in the sense that like, I think there were a couple artists that like, they didn't really want to communicate with you. And it was, they talked to you on the phone from the lounge. It was just some weird stuff like that. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
You're right there.
There's always weird stuff. Like I say, like every record has like this weird thing about it. There's always one song that's weird. There's always one band member that's a total pain in the ass. You're mixing the song and you get the bass and drums up and he's like, I don't hear my solo yet. It's not loud enough. You're like, I know. Come back in like 8 hours.
This is the drum mix.
Yeah.
Right.
God, there's some funny stuff. Or like, you got your head in the kick drum. You're like, don't play. I'm moving the microphone. Oh my God.
Does any drummer not do that?
Oh, they all do it.
Yeah,
they all do it. It doesn't matter.
Your head in front of a Marshall amp. It's like, no power chords. No.
Right. Yeah. I was just tuning. Yeah. Not now.
Yeah.
Not now.
I'm sure I'll think of some more stuff that was weird and wacky. I mean, there's, like I say, there's so much weird stuff that happens. It's just like, it's just.
Are you able, like when you hear songs that either that you worked on or that you were like you said, certain things were happening in the same places that you were. So you heard some of these great songs being recorded or mixed or worked on right next to you also.
Mhm.
When you hear those songs, do you are you able to listen to them as a song, or do you immediately go back to like, oh man, that guy was so annoying, or man, it was really great working with this guy, or oh, this was the fish in the lava lamp guy? Like, dude,
No,
stories come
it's
back
funny.
to you?
I certainly appreciate the song as a whole. It's funny. I think part of being a mixer is being able to step back and listen to it, through kind of someone else's ears. It's funny. I always like whenever I get close to a mix, I stand up and walk around the room a little bit and kind of get a different perspective on it. Yeah, you just can't look at everything like it's under a microscope all the time, especially with Pro Tools, because you'll make yourself batshit crazy. And same thing with like Beat Detective and some of that crap and auto tune. It's like, look, we're making a record here. We're not, we're not looking at this under a microscope like it's a 2x4. Every cell.
Right. Don't make it math.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. I do compart. Like I think I heard Heart of the Matter the other day, and I just remember like. In the verse, there's like an acoustic guitar. It goes left and right, and one side goes through a Leslie, and the other side we put through a tremolo amp or something. It's just little things like that. I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. Yeah, so I definitely remember the parts, but as a whole, it's kind of fun to listen to some stuff. Yeah, every once in a while, I've got my Spotify playlist of like, going down, memory lane. It's kind of fun.
Right.
That's awesome. What we have to do right now is we have to pay some bills.
We do.
The way we pay, one of the ways that we pay it is with a sponsor of ours named Poddex.
Yes.
And what Poddex is, it's decks of cards that have questions in the decks. And what we like to do is have our guest pick a deck and then pick a card from the deck.
Yeah, you're getting a random question here. We don't know it. You don't know it.
We don't know. You
Could
don't
be
know.
anything. Could be anything.
So Rob, you can choose from either the episode deck, interview deck 1, interview deck 2, what the heck, would you rather, and then we've got some really like cool ones. So the new ones, there's one that's I'm clearing my throat because it's how dare you.
Has to be said that.
Has to be said that way. And then there's also this really cool, odd, like MTV-esque look called "What the Fuck."
Also has to be said like that.
So yeah, Rob, which one of these decks do you wanna pick from?
Wow, maybe What the Fuck? Come on.
All right. So he's going from the what the fuck?
Yes. Lovely.
So Mike is going to shuffle them so that we don't know, because we memorized every card from every deck, obviously. So he's going to shuffle them to make sure that we get a random one. And during that, I will tell you that if our listeners go to poddex.com, you can check out any one of these decks. They also have an app. You can get combo decks. They'll send you a couple of them. You can kind of pick a group of them. They have merch and swag, all kinds of fun stuff. If you do decide you want to grab something, you can use the promo code BACON,
because everything is better with bacon,
and you can get 10% off your entire order over at poddex.com.
So what we're going to do, Rob, is we're going to fan these out here.
Yep.
Jim,
I'm going to take the finger of power, and I'm going from my left to my right, your right to your left. You tell me when to stop, and we are on your card.
No, right about there. Looks good. Oh, back one.
All right.
Nope.
We're here.
No,
back
I had
one,
one.
back
No,
one,
back
back
one. Back one. No.
Back one?
No. Yep. Yeah. No, that was good.
This one? Okay.
It's like moving a snare drum around when you're getting this out. Like, nope. Yep. Nope.
Exactly right. You got it. Oh wait, no, you moved it.
Yeah.
And then when you let go of the mic, it moves.
It's
Every
the
time.
worst.
Every time. All right, Rob. What is the most embarrassing or worst thing your parents ever caught you doing?
Wow. Let me think about that. I would say probably finding my weed stuffed in the dark room where we develop pictures. I'm like, shit. My clown bong or whatever it was.
You had a clown. You had a dark room.
You had a dark room at your house?
Yeah,
You
it was funny. I was
closet?
into photography, and it was like the best place to store your weed.
Oh yeah,
Well, yeah, it keeps fresh, right?
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
freshness. That's amazing. That is amazing.
that's fantastic.
So something that you brought up a little earlier with us, and you've even got it branded on yourself. You're a dog person,
Yeah.
just like we
Oh,
are.
yeah.
We're dog people.
hmm
How did you get involved with fostering pugs? And what about pugs?
You know, it's funny. So when I met my wife, I had a cat, and my wife used to do Dolly Parton impersonation, and she was coming from a job just in a Dolly outfit with her pug. And it was like, I think it was our first date. And so the door opens up, and our dog and cat got into a huge fight on our first date. I'm like bleeding from claw marks. And
Keeper.
it was pretty crazy. But that was my first entrance to pugs. And then it's funny because it just, I mean, I think she regrets every minute of it now, because even my car says the Pug King on the license plate. But we had our pug at our wedding. It's like we've had so many pugs. They're just such sweet little dogs. And I work for I help out at a pug rescue called the Pug Queen in California, and she rescues a lot of pugs from China. And I think there's like 30 pugs there now. If anybody needs a pug, check it out, the Pug Queen. But yeah, no, they're just really fun, great little dogs, and they've kind of become a joke and a little parody, and it's become a lifestyle for me, actually.
That's awesome.
All
I
those smush faced dogs, man. There's just so much personality going on with those guys.
I had
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, this guy came from like a meat market in China with no fur, no weight. His legs were bad, and he's like the happiest, sweetest dog right now. He's awesome.
Awesome.
That's awesome. We had a puggle for a while at my parents' house. Yeah, and he was just a sweetheart. He still is. He's great. He's pretty awesome. Although he was a real asshole to my dog. My dog. I have a boxer, and we were like getting our bathroom redone in the house, and so we were like, let's just bring our dog over just to stay, because like we were staying overnight at my parents' house every once in a while, and what an asshole. He was just being an asshole, and usually pugs are just like super like, yeah, whatever, that's cool. But
we've got three. One's from Tijuana, who's like totally ghetto. We think he worked for a cartel or something, because he's not mean, but he's definitely got some attitude. And then we have a China pug, and then we have an old pug from, I think, Culver City. Was just wandering around the streets. You can't hear or see real good, but they're very funny dogs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they definitely, like I said, any of the smush faced dogs, for some reason, they just have such personality in them. We have a Frenchton. French Bulldog / Boston Terrier. His name's Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So his Instagram has more followers than me.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. But yeah, just like the personality alone, like their bug eyes and their weird snorts and breathing issues and everything. They're just so fun to just be around. They're just great. And they love the shit out of you. So
Yeah. I think one of them just laid something down on my carpet. Something stinks in here.
Oh man,
I don't know what happened?
So you said when you met your wife, you had a cat. Are you still a cat person, or have you?
No, I'm not. We're all pugs. It's
a dog family now.
Yeah, it's all pug or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, this side we're all dog people. Here.
Definitely. Yeah.
Not a huge fan of the cat. I don't know.
Well, you know, they live in both worlds.
Yeah. I guess they do.
They travel both realms, so it's it's weird.
They do.
So you were saying your wife was a Dolly Parton impersonator, right?
Yeah.
Impersonator or just like doing shows?
Well, she was back then.
Okay.
Back in the old days. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like what 2020, she was in the running for a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
She was in it 2 years in a row. Yeah.
Amazing. Yep. And also made you made everyone a tsunami cake. I saw for 2020.
Yeah, she was into the whole cake baking thing for many years and did it on a bunch of TV shows and that kind of stuff. But that's just a pain in the ass. But it's good for me because I get to eat all the leftovers.
I was gonna say, are you guys like a cooking family? Do you guys do you do a lot? Of
She's the baker of the family. I love cooking. It's like mixing a record. You know what I mean? It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, it's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
I find that people that are detail oriented like that, that get into that, and me as well, and you too. Yeah. Like we get into the whole cooking thing because it is very much like mixing or putting something together where you're just kind of like, yeah, we'll taste a little bit of it now. We'll taste a little bit of it now. We'll get it till it's perfect. Oh, that's too much. Let's take a little bit of this back. Let's work on this. And it's finding your recipe and stuff. So what's your, do you have a signature dish? What's your move in the kitchen?
You know, since we're veggies, it's always fun just kind of doing, you know, air frying, or we do fish as well. But I don't know. Sometimes I'll make my own pasta. You know, I don't know. I can pretty much do all kinds of stuff. It's
air fryers.
I'm sick of going out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Air fryers are definitely the absolute greatest thing ever made.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, genius.
I love the air fryer.
Pretty fantastic.
Yeah. I'm all about like having up some Brussels sprouts, throwing in olive oil, salt, pepper.
Oh, air fried Brussels sprouts are fantastic.
The best.
And then taking the little crispies at the bottom. Oh.
So you do so for vegetarian, do you do things like tofu and the substitute meats, or are you more just like, let's just do the vegetables?
Yeah, no, it's funny. We actually we call them facos, fake tacos. We use the fake ground beef, and we make facos. Occasionally we'll do the Impossible burgers. Sometimes they taste like cat food occasionally, but they're pretty good.
Sometimes, it's weird.
They're super expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like you go to a place, they charge like an extra $3 for like an Impossible. It's like, really? What?
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
This isn't real. Why is it more?
It's funny.
Yeah. We got into the like buffalo cauliflower and cauliflower steaks, which have been awesome. Those are amazing.
Those are good.
Steaks. Yeah, Cajun butter on a cauliflower steak. It tastes like lobster.
I just got cauliflower, buffalo cauliflower at BJ's the other day. I'm gonna have to share some with you. It is awesome. It's already pre-breaded, so it's way less work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you can do like mushrooms with almond flour and some seasonings. Yeah. That's pretty good too in the air fryer. That's a good go-to. It's fast and easy.
Man. Yeah, nice. I love it. I love it.
Well, I will say we have taken up a bunch of your time now, so we are going to wind it up. But dude, thank you so much. I can say that definitely, just from my perspective, and I will share a quick story. Like, I learned so much working with you. I never sat in on a mix before. I sat there with my drummer when he would mix our stuff, and but I never sat in with somebody like. You invited us into your home. We came to LA and we came into your house and you brought us up into the room and we went through the song and everything. And it was just super cool. And it was great to have you at our show that night. You came to a show. For those of you listening, my hardworking but unknown band from New York goes to LA and plays at the Viper Room, and Rob Jacobs, who has so many credits and who has worked with so many amazing musicians and icons in the industry and has worked on iconic records in the industry, came to our show, hung out, watched the show, and then watched our merch outside so that we could work watched our gear outside so that we could work the merch table. He was like, "Go back inside. Well, I got this." And we were like, "Are you?" That blew my mind.
That's funny.
Just with how just cool you were. You know what I mean? Like, and you didn't have to do any of that. You don't.
I appreciate it, man. You know, it's funny. I mean, I wish that there's so many records I've worked on. Obviously, yours included. There's such great music out there, and it's just unfortunate that some of it just doesn't get heard. You know, so many bands I've worked with over the past 30 years is just like. Man, there's so much good stuff out there. It's funny. Occasionally, I'll trap a friend in my car and we're, going somewhere in the long run. I'm like, gotta check this out, man. I did this like 15 years ago. These guys are fucking amazing. And he's like, whoa, dude, that's so good. Like I say, I wish there was a platform you could put like, this should have been something.
Well, I will say from one of those bands that you worked with, it was really eye-opening and awesome, and a huge honor to be able to work with you. And it was just super cool getting to hang out with you and know you and everything, and that you are as down to earth and awesome as you are, to do that for us back then and to come on our podcast now. It
Absolutely.
really means a lot. It's really, really been cool. I hope you had a good time on your first podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike and Jimmy. It's been awesome. I feel like I could do another podcast now.
Awesome.
This is my first. It will not be my last.
We're happy to break the seal, and also, like, we're closing up just because we're running out of time and we don't want to take up too much of yours. But you are welcome back anytime. Anything you ever want to talk about. You want to just come on and have some drinks and talk shit about any records that we ever listened to, or
I think we should do that again. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I was actually gonna. Yeah, put a little list together of maybe some good stories, and I'd love to kind of, like I say, I think there's enough good stories and kind of funny stuff to talk about for another hour. It'd be fun. I'm definitely
that. You let us know, and you are welcome on immediately,
awesome,
anytime,
boys.
all the time. So
great. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for everybody that listened. Thank you guys for listening. He doesn't have a lot of social media. So
just Pugs.
In lieu of social media, let everybody know where they can rescue a pug.
Yeah, the Pug Queen. It's on Instagram. She's got hundreds of thousands of followers. She's got a lot of pugs. She's got some pretty strict rules about getting a pug, but they're great little animals. She's got babies, old ones, little ones, every shape, color you can imagine. So get yourself a pug.
That's awesome. Rob Jacobs, thank you for spending your time with us. And for all of you listening, and for you, Rob, if you think about it, there's really only one question you should ask yourself.
One super important question you should always ask yourself every single day.
What is it that makes your day better? Rob, do you remember the question?
What's your bacon?
What's your bacon?
He aced it.
Yeah, you loved it.
So many awesome stories. And I mean, like, so for those of you who don't listen or don't watch What's Your Bacon? 7 Questions. Definitely hop over to strangerhoodtv.com. He's got a great story about Shakira.
About
a
very sad Shakira. Sad Shakira. I don't ever want to see a sad Shakira, but I love the fact that Shakira was sad about a gnome.
Yeah. That's like, thanks for Batman, the Batman spoilering that.
Well, no, they don't know what it is.
Thanks for No Way Homing it.
That's not. I didn't do that.
Jerk.
I did not do that.
You totally did that.
I didn't do that.
But anyway,
now more people are interested.
Sure.
It's context, bro. Context.
Right. 3 Spider-Man. There's 3 Spider-Man.
That's a dick move.
It's coming out in April. If you haven't seen it by April,
you're the dick.
You're a dick.
Yeah.
Speaking of dicks, Jim, where can they find you?
Oh, well, you can find me. Wait. Jimmy G Shoes on all the socials. You can find me there. And you can find my band Craving Strange at cravingstrange.net, where you can get all of our socials. And you can find us on Strangerhood TV, where you can also find all episodes of Bacon Is My Podcast
visually,
as well as What's Your Bacon in 7 Questions, if you do want to check out what we were just talking about. Yeah, that's my stuff. What's your stuff?
Well, my stuff, we have some collective stuff.
We do have collective stuff, yes.
Our collective stuff is Bacon Is My Passion. You can find that on all streaming platforms. And it's April, which means we should probably start working on a new song.
Are we starting working on a new song in April?
We're going to have one done by the end of April.
Whew.
One out by the end of April.
All right. We should probably get to work on that.
Yeah. Well... Yes.
Either writing it or picking it.
Yeah. So that's going to happen at the end of April. We're going to have a new song out.
Cool. I like it. I like goals.
But also, personally, you can find me at My Own Self Mike on all of the socials, the Twitter, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and my band at Something Heavy Music on all those. and on all streaming platforms. Something Heavy. All of them. We should probably have a new song out too.
Nice. Craving Strange should have a new one out too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll all have new songs.
Maybe
out.
we'll all just fucking crossover central. Just do like a EP with like one song and then the other song and then another song.
I like it. Rancid NoFX did that once.
Yeah.
We should do it.
Yeah. Well, didn't they play their own songs?
Well,
like
they did.
Songs?
It was like 3 songs, and then the 4th song was them doing one of the other band's songs.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is awesome.
I think that's really cool. I don't want to do a Craving Strange song because I wouldn't do it well enough.
I don't want to do something heavy song because I can't scream.
That's why we have Bacon's My Passion.
That is why. Yeah. That's exactly why.
So you should go check it out. And don't forget, Patreon.
Yeah.
Bacon's My Podcast. Please give us those 5-star reviews on the Apples, the Googles, the Spotifys. It really does help the show out.
Yeah. Share us with your friends.
Beats the algorithm.
Stay in the conversation with hashtag What's Your Bacon?
Indeed.
Hashtag Bacon is my pod. Or hashtag Bacon is my podcast. Let us know what you want to see or hear on the show. Let us know what you want us to do in the future. And, just talk to us. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you're into. Give us some questions for people that are coming up. All that kind of fun stuff.
Indeed.
It helps beat the algorithm, just like you were saying, because if we don't beat the algorithm, then the man wins. And we don't want to let the man win. Damn the man. Save the empire.
Indeed. And the only way to do that is to ask yourself one question.
And one question only.
What is your
bacon?
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And before we get into this week, if one episode just isn't enough for you and you need a little bit more Bacon is My Podcast, head on over to patreon.com/Bacon is My Podcast. Over there, you will get access to monthly live streams, discounts on merch, early and commercial-free access to Bacon is My Podcast episodes. Some of them are even extended surprise giveaways, additional shows, including Tasting is My Passion, and, of course, Cooking with Bacon is My Passion. And, oh yeah, you get a crap ton of music. That's right, all of Jimmy and Mike's bands, previous, current, whatever it is, you'll get access to that music, demos, and much, much more. Just head on over to patreon.com/Bacon is My Podcast and learn what the hoopla is all about.